Here. I think we are live now. Very good. Welcome, guys. This is Bernard Nomberg with another episode of NOMBERG LAW Live. We come to you each Tuesday at 10 a.m. Central, 8 a.m. Pacific. And I'm so pleased to have two of my buddies here with me today. I've got Jeremiah Evans, who is down in Orlando. Good morning, Jeremiah. Good to see you, bud.
Morning.
Jeremiah is with Les Mills, the group fitness, and he's a group fitness instructor and so much more, and we'll get to him in just a second. And I got my Birmingham buddy, Dr. Billy Lapidus here. Good morning, Billy.
Good morning, Bernard.
Good to see you both. And guys, we're talking about two different things that are both of which are fast approaching. Jeremiah, we're going to start with you. We're going to talk about fitness during the holiday season, and then we're going to come to Billy and talk about the Sam Lapidus. Let's hold up the big banner. The Sam Lapidus Montclair Run, which is held annually. Let's see if we can get it in the screen here. It's held annually in Birmingham here at our JCC, which is right next door on Montclair Road, and we'll get into the specifics about that in a few minutes. Jeremiah, you are a fitness instructor. You are a fitness expert. I've had the privilege of taking your class many times when you were briefly here in Birmingham, but I know that you travel all over the place, out of country, all over the country. Talk to us a little bit about your philosophies going into the holiday season. It's early November right now. We just had Halloween, probably the worst holiday you could think of. And now we're quickly heading into Thanksgiving and Christmas time. Give us some of your philosophies about keeping fit and just some general ideas that average Joes like me should be keeping in mindful.
Okay. Well, first of all, thanks for having me on here.
Certainly.
Bernard, it was a pleasure getting to know you and your brother when I was in Birmingham for that short period. And just so everyone knows, I was in Birmingham because my son lives there. That's actually why I moved to Birmingham for a short period of time. And it's not like I just departed ways with my son. I moved to Orlando. It fits better for my business and also my love life. But my son and I will still stay in touch, and we travel back and forth. And while I was in Birmingham, I trained at the JCC, actually, because I had a long relationship with many of the members and instructors that are still there. I helped to kind of launch the Les Mills programming when it was originally at the JCC, when we kind of blew it up there, and then came back years later. So that's when I met you. But leading into the holiday season, I would say this from an average Joe, as you're calling it, perspective. I think that most people get caught up with extremes. It's like a pendulum. People swing from one extreme to the other, where you see most of the time in the industry, and by industry I mean fitness industry, people showing up at the gym early January, and by mid-February they start to fade away. And so most industry professionals expect that. And it's because those people, they're not in the gyms every single day. It's because they're on extremes. They realize that through the holiday season, they pack on some extra weight, and that's due to you're around family, you're drinking more, you're spending more time indoors, you're not as active. And in most climates here, especially in Birmingham, it's colder, so people spend more time indoors. They're not as active. They're not getting as many steps in. So I think just being put on the spot and saying, what should we do? For the average person, most people that I speak to over the years, and I say over the years, probably the last 10 to 15 years, is their excuse is time and can't make it to the gym. And usually those excuses are fed by numerous different examples and resources. One is families in town. Some people, families are longer than others. And for other people, it's the kids are out of school, so I'm having to tend to the kids, so I don't have the extra time now to make it to the gym. Or it's end of the work season and I'm piled up and I'm trying to get out of work, and by the time that I do, I'm too tired to make it to the gym. Well,
in other words, there's always an excuse that can be found.
Yes. And so I think all of that, all those things stacked up, they're looking at the wrong purpose, because making it to the gym should be your second reason for losing additional pounds or calories. Eating is where that's most important. Your activity level is only going to account to about 30% of your fat loss per day, regardless. Whether you're fit or whether you're just a beginner at getting active, about 30% for the average Joe. So making it to the gym isn't going to make or break your weight loss or weight gain. That's something that that's going to help promote your health and wellness, but it's not going to change your weight or your body fat drastically. Looking after the things that you consume, that is where you can really catch up on the brownie points, pun intended. So I would say making smart decisions through the holiday season when it comes to the things that you consume. And I know that that's hard because you've got family cooking, you've got all the treats and the desserts and the extra holiday times. I think going back to the pendulum swinging from one extreme to the other, thinking I'm going to eat super healthy so that I can enjoy a Thanksgiving day. For most people, that's not realistic. They try to sacrifice, and then when it becomes that day, they just go all out and they consume thousands upon thousands of calories in a short amount of time, and that can only cause adverse effects. So I think for most people, if they look at it through balance in your lifestyle and the things that are put in front of you, finding things that you enjoy and enjoying them more often in smaller quantities. And this is a huge subject, Bernard. Like we could talk about this all day.
I know that
I deal with clients all over the world, internationally, and from different climates, different extremes. But here in the I'll just base it for most people living here in the States and even locally in Birmingham, is trying not to go from one extreme to the other. And what I mean by that, in basic terms, is find what works for you in a caloric or energy balance situation. So to stay at an energy balance where you feel good throughout the day, you've got great energy, you are eating to promote your style of living. So if you've got a very strenuous job situation where you're on your feet and you're doing hard labor work, you're probably going to consume more calories than someone who sits in a law office most of the day and doesn't really get up and move around as much.
I try.
So finding the energy balance that fits your lifestyle rather than trying to think of it as, I'm going to go work out at the gym for an hour, so I deserve these extra calories. That's your bonus points. So find an energy balance that fits your lifestyle situation. And then if you make it to the gym, if you do some exercise, that's like the added cherry on top. That is bonus points. It doesn't give you the extra credit to eat more. It's not like, because I worked out, I have the ability to go and have this extra dessert. That's not the way to look at it. Find something that fits your energy balance and your lifestyle. And then let's say tomorrow's Thanksgiving. It's going to be awesome. We're going to have all this extra food. Well, what you should know is the day previous and maybe the day after Thanksgiving, look at the energy balance. Okay, my lifestyle is here. My food consumption is here. I know Thanksgiving it's going to be here, so I might decrease my caloric consumption days leading into and the day after, not by a lot, not drastically, but I might put away the ice cream tonight, or I might have a little bit less at dinner leading into this day and the day after, because you need to balance out that equation so that you're not seeing the extra pounds come on.
What I'm hearing from you, and I don't mean to interrupt you because this is valuable, this is great stuff, and I appreciate you sharing your expertise. Anybody who's known this man right here for any length of period of time knows that it's a lifestyle that he adapted many, many years ago. He exercises all the time. I've had many meals with Billy. Not that I've observed what you eat, but I know that proportion control, that seems to be a real key mindset that you have to take. And starting a diet or starting a new exercise regimen this time of the year, It doesn't seem to be the optimal time of the year to do it because you're going into all these events and things that you just described, but you got to start somewhere. And
Yep.
it seems what I'm hearing from you, you've got to build it into your mindset, your lifestyle. We put our exercise workouts on our weekly work calendar to make sure that we get out of the office during certain times of the day, almost every day. It seems like it's kind of dangerous that if you go on any extreme diets or any extreme exercises, particularly if your body isn't used to it. But I know people do that. What happens to your body, Jeremiah, when you either deprive yourself of the calories that you need each day, or you go to these extreme workout mindset and you overtax your body, particularly for people who are reaching middle age? What happens?
That's a really good question. And just to on the back end of what you're saying here around being an athlete and doing it for many years, you've got years and years experience. You cannot compare yourself to somebody. I get asked all the time, Jeremiah, what do you eat? What do you do? Well, that's what works for me. I've been lifting weights since I was 14 years old. I'm 34 now, and I've been I've been trialing dozens of different types of eating habits over the years and to find out what works best for me. So what works best for me is not what is what's going to work best for you. So to answer your question around that, going extreme, our industry has seen that since day one. In the 80s, you had group fitness, which is now popular in a different way. In the 90s, you had, the introduction of high intensity extremes, which now CrossFit has taken. And I think the next pendulum you'll see is probably recovery, and we'll take that to an extreme, and then we'll bounce back. So exercising extremes for anyone, whether they're a beginner, intermediate, or expert, I don't recommend, because you have to think about in 20 years, 30 years, or towards the end of my life, is this something that I could see myself doing for the rest of my life? If running, for example, this is the most natural human motion, the most natural thing that a human can do, walking and running, for cardiovascular exercise. But some people take it to extremes, and people would probably debate that, saying, I know marathon runners who can run a marathon every day for 365 days, and there are people who have done that. Will they do that the rest of their life? I don't know. And the adverse effects of what that will do to your body. But anything in extreme, whether it's CrossFit, whether it's Les Mills classes, whether it's lifting weights in the gym, your body is an adaptation machine. Your body is so smart, and it will adapt quickly. But overuse of that adaptation is what causes us to have issues, no matter what type of sport that you're in. Also, eating, whether it's keto, paleo, vegetarian, carnivorous diet. You can't choose a specific extreme diet that works best for everybody, because that's not true. The human body is unique. We all have a different genome and all different DNA. So the way my body consumes calories is going to respond completely different than the way yours does, Bernard. You may be able to eat, 75% of your nutrition through carbohydrates, as where my body doesn't process those same nutrients the same way.
Jeremiah, history has told me that that's not true for me.
Based on my origin, based on my family, based on the way my body processes nutrients, so I have to figure out what works best for me, and that's in anyone living in the same city from the same family. You can have a brother and a sister that come from the same environment that their body processes nutrients completely differently. So to label yourself as a specific type of diet, or to label myself as this is what I do and everyone else should do it, is just not correct.
And that's why, isn't that why you need to consult with a nutritionist, a specialist in that area? You need to consult maybe with a fitness instructor to get a plan, as opposed to, well, I'm just going to go look up something on the internet and then I'm going to go do it. That could be reckless.
Yeah, it can be very reckless, and that's what a lot of people jump to conclusions to do today is they go Google and they don't
Hmm.
realize that companies pay money to be the top rated on Google, and
That's
that's
right.
what they're going to see first. It's like if I were to tell my client to go into a dentist office and to start picking up the tools and just start working on themselves, they would never do that,
Yeah.
right? You
Yeah.
go you go see a professional to work on you. You don't go to the professional's office and he says, "Hey,
That's
here's all the
right.
stuff you need. Good
Yeah.
luck." Like, you
Jeremiah,
need to.
I want to ask you something just a second, but I want to introduce. We've got a bunch of people watching. We appreciate you guys tuning in with us for a few minutes. I've got Jeremiah Evans, a fitness instructor. He's with Les Mills. He's in the Tampa area. We were blessed to have him for two different times, different years as an instructor here locally at our JCC. I've got Dr. Billy Lapidus. Billy, I want to talk to you just for a second or two, and we'll get into the specifics about the Sam Lapidus Montclair Run, which is on Thanksgiving Day in Birmingham. Billy is a longtime runner. Billy is with people who I'm sure contact you. Hey, I want to sign up for the run, and they may say, "Well, what do I need to do to get ready?" Well, it's a 10K, and it's not a flat 10K.
Right.
And you tell us, share with us a little bit, and I want Jeremiah to chime in a little bit because I know Jeremiah runs too. Is you can't just roll out of bed Thanksgiving Day and expect to run a pretty rigorous 10K that has incline.
There is a rare person who can do that, and I hate them for it. But most of us have to really build up to that.
Yeah.
It takes a long time to train and get your body adjusted to
Hmm.
be able to run like that, to run 6 miles, to run 2 miles. You got to start small, and you can't magnify the your goal or your because you it would defeat yourself if you thought I have to get up and run 6 miles. So you start slow and you build up to it over time. And everybody's different. Some people are more fit, just more athletically inclined.
Hmm.
Others of us, like me, have to work at it. And this run, by the way, which we'll talk about more, does also have a 5K,
Hmm.
and it has a 1 mile fun run.
Hmm.
So they're all fun, they're all great, they're all good exercise. They all entitle you to eat your Thanksgiving meal later with less remorse, maybe. But no, you don't just jump out of bed having not run before and run a 10K. I would not advise it.
Jeremiah, leading into this run that's in a few weeks, I know you've had countless clients over the years that you've trained and helped prepare for competitions, whether it's for lifting weights or just exercise fitness competitions or even runs. We're pretty late. We're 3 weeks. We're less than 3 weeks from Thanksgiving. Today's the 6th, so we've got about 16 days. Is there anything somebody who does not run but is a fairly active person, is there anything that they can do over the next couple of weeks so that if they go and attempt either the 5K or the 10K, that they're not just going to pay for it? They're not going to just over the next however many weeks after the race regret that they participated in such an awesome event.
Well, I would say we talked about this a few minutes ago. The
Yeah.
most natural human motion is to walk and run. So for the average person, you say just run from point A to point B. Most people can accelerate or move their body in a faster motion. I think when you take on a task of a 10K, which most people look at you like you're crazy if they're not a normal runner, is to think of it in intervals. To do something, well, if you can't run for half a mile or even a mile, how far can you run before you feel your exertion level reaches a 7 or an 8, meaning you're about to hit full on failure? You want them to fatigue to the point where they're building a stronger cardiovascular system, immune system, their hearts and lungs expand. So I would say to find intervals, if they're not willing to hire a coach or someone who can help them professionally, is think of it in intervals. Okay, let's break it down by a quarter mile. Today you're going to run a quarter mile and you're going to recover for a period of time, and maybe you try to run a little bit further. And then tomorrow you try the same distance, and over the next, I don't know, 4 or 5 days, you want to increase that distance and reduce your amount of recovery time. So intervals is a way to look at it. I do know lots of professional athletes, even marathon runners, who will run the entire marathon 1 minute on, 1 minute off. or 2 minutes on, 1 minute off, where they'll run for a period of time and then walk for a period of time. So it's not thinking of the entire 10K rather than this is how far I have to run now before I recover, and then maybe a little bit more distance. So that's one way to look at it. Obviously, the most educated way, and I'm sure you would agree, is to find a professional that can help you with this, and that starts with your feet, because your feet are so important in your running motion. The how you actually execute running. People may think that they're running one way until someone looks at them or observes them professionally and says, these are some small changes you can make. Same as going to a personal trainer at the gym to really enhance your running experience, to help you recover faster, your breathing technique, your foot stride. Go into, I know in Homewood, there's, I think it's Fleet Feet. There might be a couple of locations in Birmingham where they look at you professionally and say, this is your, you overpronate, oversupinate, you have a natural running motion. This is the type of shoe or sole that we would recommend. Because getting out on the concrete or asphalt and running, especially up and down hills, for a beginner or even intermediate person, that can be painful if you're not used to doing it. And so your feet are what's going to touch the surface. So all of that. So if you have the wrong type of shoe on and you run 10K, that's, I don't even want to do the math, but the amount of foot strikes you're going to make and the amount of impact that's going to go from your ankle to your knee, to your hips, to your lower and mid to upper back. And that's where you could put yourself in a situation for injury. So I would say
set yourself up for failure if you're not properly prepared.
Exactly.
You really are.
So, I mean, I'll break that down. Intervals is a way to look at it, or finding a professional, and then also looking at your footwear. That's important. You can look at all things like hydrating yourself, making sure that you're well fed, leading into the run. But knowing all those things is very individualistic. So you won't know that unless you were working with someone that could really help you.
Sure. Thank you, Jeremiah. Guys, if you're just joining us, if you're watching us later on replay, I've got Jeremiah Evans, who's with Les Mills. He's a fitness instructor, giving us some awesome tips going into the holiday season, and also some tips about leading up to the Sam Lapidus Montclair Run with Dr. Billy Lapidus. And I want to talk about that now for a second, Billy. I'm going to show everybody the poster. The run is coming up. Why don't you give us some details, Billy? Before we get to that, why don't we do a little background? And I apologize I didn't do that beforehand. Your son Sam was such a beloved kid in the neighborhood and in our community and at the JCC. And as you told me a few minutes ago, it was 10 years ago yesterday that we lost Sam. And I know a day doesn't go by that you don't have him in your heart and in your thoughts. And our community has so honored his love of athleticism, his love of sports and being an active person. In fact, we think we may find some photos where years ago where Sam worked out with the Les Mills instructors, and we're hoping we find a picture of Jeremiah in the picture, maybe working out with Sam. So if we got that, we'll post that. But Billy, I appreciate you being here today, and I want you to just tell us a little bit about the run.
Bernard, thanks for having me. The Sam Lapidus Montclair Run is now in its 10th year. Mm-hmm. The Montclair Run, held on Thanksgiving morning, has been going on for 42 years. This is the 42nd year of the Montclair Run. But 10 years ago, after my son Sam died, some close friends of his, folks he worked out with in the fitness center at the Levitt Jewish Community Center, suggested that the run be named in Sam's honor. Since Sam, lived at the Jewish Community Center, he loved working out. He was a fan of Les Mills, and he worked out with those instructors. But Sam, nothing was more important to Sam than working out and fitness. And so,
except maybe Alabama football.
Alabama football, there's probably close. That's probably true. That is absolutely true. And it's nice that the two coincide. The Alabama season coincides with Thanksgiving. But Sam was not one who was ever defined by cancer, and he would quite honestly, and my wife and I have to keep remembering this to honor him. He would be appalled if he knew that any fuss was ever made of him, especially in light with regards to his having had cancer, because that did not define him. As a matter of fact, he would go to chemotherapy or spend 4 or 5 days in the hospital receiving chemotherapy, and he would be so insistent and actually angry if his workouts at the JCC were delayed. And he would find ways to have his oncologist speed up his chemo because it was almost 3 o'clock and he didn't care what his doctor had in mind. He was going to be at the JCC. Right. So Sam was all about living life to the fullest and working out. He was an intense kid, not always the easiest kid to parent. You remember Sam. He was a very high-spirited kid, I think is the right way to say it. But he loved his family and friends. He loved Alabama football. He loved the JCC and all the folks, all his friends and staff there. And so this race that means so much to us, having been named after Sam, it's just so perfect, the perfect blend of family and friends and the LJCC and fitness and working out. And it's hard to believe it's been 10 years since we lost Sam, or that it's been 10 years since this race has been named in his honor. But we hope everybody will come out. They can walk to 6 miles, walk 5 miles, don't have to run. But just be there, and we've got so much to be thankful for.
So we've got it at 8:30 on Thanksgiving morning on the 22nd is a 5K and a 10K, and it goes up and down Montclair Road. For any of you who are aware of or know where the JCC is, that's kind of the middle spot, if you will, of the run. And at 10 a.m. is the 1 mile fun run. But please do not wait to register the morning of the race. It is chaotic up there. The race seems to be growing in numbers each year. And if you can register that morning, but that is not what would put you in good standing or in good light with the folks who are running the race. So we need to talk about registration and things like that, Billy. What website, where do we go?
Absolutely. So you can register online at, let's see, the slmr.itsyourrace.com, and we can show that. You can register at the LJCC website. You can register in person at the Jewish Community Center. You can register at Track Shack as well. And you can register the morning of the race. Sometimes it's chaotic, but they start signing folks up about 7 a.m. the morning of the race.
They're very organized up there. They were in the gymnasium. It's all set up. It's easy to get your packet. It's easy to sign up and register then. We'll put in the comment section afterward all of the ways to not only get in touch with Jeremiah, of course, but also to be able to register for the race, for the LJCC. And Billy, tell us a little bit about, I know that you run the race, and and I've never known the proper, is it multiple Lapidus members? Is it Lapidi, like Elvi, or is it Lapiduses?
Lapiduses.
Okay.
Now the scholarly among us may say Lapidi,
okay,
but we're Lapiduses.
Well, there'll be tons of Lapidus family members at the race that day. I know it's a very memorable day. I know that you guys have come to really embrace the day. And we really, I think it would be a great honor for as many people as we can to register and participate in the
Please
day.
participate. And I might also just mention, I want everyone to know that the proceeds from the race do benefit the Alabama Childhood Center of Childhood Cancer Research and Blood Disorders at Children's of Alabama. So I can't say enough about Children's of Alabama and the involvement they have, the research they do for childhood cancer. The hospital, the folks there mean so much to us, and it means so much to my wife and I and our family that they benefit from this event. So there's so many reasons to participate. Jeremiah mentioned that it's important to make wise decisions during the holiday season, and I think one of the wisest decisions you can make is to participate in the Sam Lapidus Montclair Run.
Well said. And while Jeremiah would not necessarily endorse you sleeping in that morning, if you don't want to actually get out and move your body up and down Montclair Road, I'm sure they will take donations of any nominations. Again, we'll put all of the contact information and the links and stuff in there in the comments, so you guys can easily make donations or register for the race. And guys, I can't thank you enough for being here today. This has been fantastic. Just getting to see you both, and Jeremiah, all of your expertise, which I'm going to hopefully be able to incorporate into my daily my daily routine, and I have tried. I'm still going to those 4:30 Monday classes. Without you there, though, it's a little bit different, but we do miss you. Anything in closing, Jeremiah, before we wrap up this session?
Yeah, I would just say, just from, there's so much I'd love to share. Maybe we could do this again on a different subject, but, I did the Sam Lapidus Run twice myself. I absolutely loved it. And I would say for anybody, even if not to think of it as a running event, as much as a community event, because it brings people together. And that's why I strongly recommend over the holiday season, getting around active people. If you want to be a fitter person, put yourself around fitter people. Find someone who is better at what you do. Dr. Lapidus is a great example of that. He's a great leader who amplifies community, love, caring for other people, and Run is just a vehicle to do that. This race it could be a great vehicle for you to meet an awesome community of people that could just interject small little pieces of healthy advice for your eating or active lifestyle. And Bernard, to your point, the 4:30 Monday class, I miss you guys. I really do. I love teaching that class. But even outside of that, just make some good, healthy decisions. Walking to and from the grocery store. I know it's cold outside there. Park as far away as you can. It's one thing I do every single day. I'll find the furthest parking spot from the front of the store just to get those extra steps in every day. Do that everywhere you go. Take the elevator or the stairs. You choose which one's going to put you more active.
That's right.
Those types of healthy. I would just say in closing, just every day it's a compounded situation. I didn't get where I am overnight, and no one else has gone to either. Making those healthy choices to help you run, maybe look at an interval training or find a professional. And then on those holiday days, don't sit and think about the sacrifice you need to make in that moment. Enjoy it. Enjoy the people around you. Have the extra calories, have the extra drinks. Look on the days outside of that you can sacrifice. It's the same as going into a run, right? Right, Doctor?
Right, exactly.
You build up to the race, and then you taper off leading into the race. You have to do the same with your nutrition. You have to taper off leading into something big to allow your body to adapt to that situation. So,
well said. Well said, Jeremiah. How can folks get in touch with you? And we'll put it in the comments as well.
I have a new website. It's actually being developed right now. It's called JeremiahEvansFitness.com. So it's just my name, JeremiahEvansFitness.com. You can go there to register to be a part of my email group, and then the new website will be up hopefully by the new year. Online through social media is just Jeremiah Evans on Facebook, and the same for Instagram at Jeremiah Evans.
Well, I've been following you for many months, and you just every day you have something either inspiring that you say, or you put out do's and don'ts, the right way and the wrong way to do certain exercises. It's invaluable. You guys really should follow Jeremiah and just get part of the program. But thank you, Jeremiah. Billy, I'm going to let you have the last word as we close out for today.
Jeremiah just touched on community and how this is not just a running event. You don't have to be a great runner. Certainly I'm not. But it is a community event, and we have, and I'm slightly biased, but we have Birmingham community is the most wonderful community there is. It's where I was born. My parents and grandparents were born. It's the best place to live. It's the best place to run. And we are so, so thankful on this every day, but especially on this wonderful, overwhelming day. We are so thankful to our community, to our friends and family for all the love and support.
Very good. Guys, this will conclude this episode of NOMBERG Law Live. I really appreciate Jeremiah and Billy being here with me today. You can catch replays. We'll repost this many times over the upcoming months. Please join us again next Tuesday. We always come to you at 10 a.m. Central, 8 a.m. Pacific. Hope you guys have a great rest of your week. Take care.
Thanks.